We're putting the band back together because we are on a mission from God. Jesse Friedman from Snakes Territory is here to preview the Father's Day series with the Padres and so much more. So stick around. We're starting in 30 seconds. Welcome in to another edition of the PHNX Dbacks podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montia, of course, occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX. I'm thrilled to have my boys back together today to talk a little snake ball. Of course, got to let you know this show is brought to you by our friends at Bet365 and our friends over at Game Time. Make sure to use that code of PHNX365 when you sign up on the Bet365 app. Go download it today, use that code, and you'll get yourself $150 in bonus bets. Over at Game Time, use our code of PHNX on your first ticket purchase. You'll get $20 off. Very excited. Very excited. This is a momentous occasion, a momentous reunion. It is Throwback Thursday, so how apropos it is that we have the gang all back together. Joining us from Snakes Territory over on the Foul Territory Network, it is the one, the only, Thunderstick Jesse Friedman. Jesse, great to have you here, buddy. And of course, great to have you here on a night where the Diamondbacks aren't playing, so that you can't impact them with your appearance on this program.
Yeah, that seems to be happening a lot for me lately, Derek. Even over on Snakes Territory, we kind of eventually came to the conclusion that we just needed to stop doing our occasional post-game shows entirely because the Diamondbacks lost every single one of them. There's just something about me podcasting immediately after a Diamondbacks game that just isn't good for the franchise. But yeah, we're safe because it's an off day and yeah, a big series coming up this weekend against the Padres.
Absolutely. I mean, how hilarious is it that we are playing the Fathers on Father's Day weekend, Jesse? It couldn't make more sense here. Before we move on, we got to get this guy back in the shot. Damon Dog, Jesse Friedman, and Derek Montia back together for the first time in a very long time, and entirely too long. It almost feels like it was back in the 2023 postseason days, boys. Great to have you guys all here at the same place at the same time.
This is a winning family right here. This is a winning group. All we know is how to win, and we're going to continue to do so.
It's the right starting lineup. I mean, we've tried different combinations and whatnot, but the time-tested formula of these three hitting 1, 2, 3 in the lineup definitely it makes all the sense in the world.
If we were the 2023 Diamondbacks starting playoff rotation, right? And you know, you had the big three of sorts: Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Brandon Pfaadt. Who would be who across that list between us three?
I feel like Jesse would be Merrill Kelly. The reason why I put that on him is that Jesse is better than all of us quietly. Doesn't necessarily get the attention he deserves, but by far a franchise player. I'm a bit flashier, but a little bit of a disappointment this season. So I would be, of course, the Zach Gallen of the group.
Inconsistent.
Yeah, super inconsistent. And then there's the young guy here that always comes through. Big game Damon.
I'm getting
Damon
hit
Dog.
hard right now, though, man.
Yeah.
I'm struggling right now.
The results were good, though. The results were good, even though you got a lot of hard hit contact there the other day. But yeah, no. Great to be with you boys again. Of course, we've had a lot of fun doing this show. Diamondbacks have not had a lot of fun this season, but of course they are playing some good baseball right now. I don't want to say streaky, but a little, a sweep, then getting swept, and now another sweep. This team couldn't be more inconsistent this year, Jesse. It feels like it carries over even into, I guess, success like this.
It's really par for the course for this team right now, right? Those are the rules, Derek. The Diamondbacks can only sweep or get swept. There are no in-betweens allowed with this team right now. And yeah, I mean, thinking ahead to this Padres series, which I know we're gonna get into here shortly. Like, I have no idea what's gonna happen this weekend.
Right.
Like, it really wouldn't shock me if the Diamondbacks found a way to continue on this nice run. I know the Padres just lost a tough series to the Dodgers. Maybe they're kind of falling back to earth here a little bit. The Dbacks catch a pretty decent portion of this rotation from their perspective. But on the other hand, like, would it shock us if the Dbacks just went out and got swept again?
Yeah,
Like, I don't think I
right.
could possibly say I'd be shocked by that. So anything is on the table right now.
No, you're absolutely right. You're so correct about that. Nothing would surprise me. The Diamondbacks could lose this series, it wouldn't surprise me. They could win the series, it wouldn't surprise me. They could sweep or get swept. And that's where they're at. Like right now with the three starting pitchers they have going in the series, the Diamondbacks have an excellent chance at winning against the Padres. This is the first time they faced the Padres in 2025. Over the last two seasons, the Diamondbacks have traded season series. The Diamondbacks went 7-6 in 23 against the Padres, went 6-7 in 24. And of course, they've just, with the amount of times they played the Padres and just the way these games have gone, the Diamondbacks lead a lot of categories as far as opponent numbers against the Padres. They are first in triples against the Padres, second in runs scored, second in extra base hits, and third in homers against the Padres. And so, again, that is just because these two teams play each other a lot. So it's always going to be a division rival that puts up numbers like that. But again, this is an important series, it feels like. And I mean, I know every series for the Diamondbacks between now and I want to say July 31st, but obviously that time frame is moved up. They're not going to wait until the last minute to start making decisions about whether this team is a buyer or seller at the trade deadline. So you could even say more like July 15th. The Diamondbacks don't have a lot of room for error over this time in order to prove that this team is a contender. And I think that I don't want to put a lot of more weight on this series than is already on it. But you have the Padres here now, and then you close out the month against the Giants. Feels like those two division series are critical in proving to Mike Hazen in the front office that this team could be a contender this season in the way that it's currently put together.
Yeah, and I'll also add that the Dodgers are playing the Giants this weekend as well. So, if that series goes significantly one way or another, and the Diamondbacks or Padres, if this series has a dramatic outcome one way or another, there really could be some moving parts in the standings in a variety of different ways this weekend.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, entering this series, Derek, the Dbacks are 4.5 games out of the wild card, and the Padres are the team in the third wild card right now that they are closest to. So you have an opportunity here to start off the season series on a high note. And it is really wild, isn't it, that we are just starting the season series here in mid-June. I think the Padres and Dodgers, when they just played each other, that was the first time they've played each other this season as well. I'm not quite sure how it worked out that way, but it's weird, and all these games matter a whole lot.
It's backloaded. It's like a lot of the games they take on against division rivals seem to be later in the season. And that, again, is very important because the teams in front of them right now in the NL West are the teams that are in those wild card positions or are also fighting for those wild card spots. So, yeah, I mean, with a lot of games left to play against those specific teams, I don't know when you wave the white flag or how bad things would have to get between now and that trade deadline in order for them to stop believing that this team could come back. If they're in the same spot around 4 games, 3.5 games back out of the wild card, it's pretty hard to all of a sudden become a seller at the trade deadline and move pieces that could potentially help you in the month of August and September overcome that deficit. I think about the Tigers last year, Jesse, and they were both sellers at the trade deadline and also made a huge splash in the postseason, right? So, like, I don't know. It's not to say that it can't be done. There are ways to improve this team at the trade deadline without necessarily just having a fire sale, right? And of course, the Frosty delivery just happened, Jesse. I just wanted to throw that in your face real fast. It got here and it's delicious, and I can't wait to eat it. We're gonna dunk on Damon here in a little bit, but we'll wait for that. Anyway, back to back to the NL West. I mean, obviously.
Do we have to?
No, I don't think so. We'll figure it out. We'll do it gently, Damon. But it feels like this team again could make trades that could help them, as well as also potentially trading away a guy that like Zach Gallen or Merrill Kelly, let's say, that is a free agent at the end of the season. However, it's hard to imagine this team finding success by trading any of those players that are going to be free agents at the end of this year, including Josh Naylor and Geno Suarez. It just seems like if the Diamondbacks do in fact want to be a contender, they're going to need all of those pieces to still be here that would essentially be trade deadline targets once that time comes around.
It feels like for the Diamondbacks to buy, there's a lot of opportunity cost for them in doing that, because as you said, like there are a lot of pieces that this team has that I think would be enticing for other teams at the trade deadline.
So many.
And I think also feels like this has been a trend in recent years ever since the wild card expanded, but I think this is probably going to be a seller's market. And if you're the Diamondbacks and you're in a sell position and you're trading Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen and Josh Naylor and Geno Suarez and Shelby Miller, and I mean, the list goes on. Like all of these guys are on expiring contracts. And if you're in a clear sell position, it would definitely make sense to just trade all of them. You could really reload your farm system, maybe even acquire some major league ready pieces in a pretty big way that really could help this team moving forward for the next couple of years. Whereas if you don't do that, it feels like if the Diamondbacks go for it and buy, like they better make the playoffs, right? Like they better make those investments worthwhile. Because if not, it's like, man, you really had an opportunity here to capitalize on, I think a team that has really a ton of assets that would be attractive at the deadline.
I said it before, but I know that the compensatory picks are important for this team, right? They're going to make qualifying offers to certain guys, and they're going to get those draft picks back because most likely those players are going to elect to go and test free agency rather than taking a qualifying offer. Maybe Zach Gallen's season is so bad that he accepts a qualifying offer just to come back for 1 year and maybe have a better season and then try to get that big payday. That's a far-fetched dream for me, but it still seems like with when you have a bad season, especially on a contract year like this, doesn't seem like the worst option, especially considering that this is a team that he kind of flourished with and made his career with, right? But what I will say is that you're right. The haul that you could get back, it could absolutely eclipse worrying about getting those qualifying offers and those picks, because the draft picks, not draft picks, but the players that you could receive, prospects that you could potentially receive, or like you said, even major league ready players that have years of control left that aren't going to be on expiring contracts at the end of the season, could make all the sense in the world for this team to reload. I think we're all hoping that doesn't happen. I think we're all hoping that this team continues to move in a positive direction and makes a case that they are a contender, right? Of course, Ketel Marte has been playing incredible baseball. He is an absolute thorn in the side of the San Diego Padres. Ketel right now, he's on his 24-game on-base streak, by the way, the third longest active streak in Major League Baseball, behind Jose Ramirez and Vinny Pasquantino. And then you also have this being the tied for the second longest streak in his career, along with one from 2023. He was incredible in 2023. He had a 24-game on-base streak in 2023, and then he also had his career best 30-gamer that started that same season earlier on. But among active players against the Padres, Ketel Marte ranks first in hits, first in extra base hits. He's tied for third in home runs, and he's tied in fourth in slugging percentage at .511. So Ketel Marte could definitely be a difference maker in this particular series against the Padres.
He always can be a big difference maker, right?
Every series, yeah.
This is maybe the best version of Ketel that I've seen, at least for this long of a stretch in quite. I mean, maybe he had a stretch like this last year as well, but Ketel, since coming off the injured list, I know maybe immediately after coming off the IL, it wasn't quite all there for him. It took him a little while for him to get his sea legs under him. But once he did that, I mean, he's been one of the best hitters in all of baseball. I think he has a pretty strong case to be an all-star because he's basically been as valuable as any other second baseman in the National League, even though he's played one less month than all of them. Like, he's been that good offensively. And yeah, I mean, he has like a 178 OPS plus, which is, I mean, for as great as Ketel has been at times in the past, he's never even come close to that. So this is Ketel just somehow continuing to get better and better offensively.
Well, let's take a look at the Padres at a glance, because this team has been really good, as has all the teams in the National League West. Currently have a record of 38-29 with a plus 24 run differential. They are 5-5 in their last 10, so at least they're not coming in to this series with the Diamondbacks super hot. OPS, little bit of a struggle there offensively for the Padres. They currently are 21st in Major League Baseball with a 690 OPS. They have a good starting pitching ERA there at 3.70, which is good for 13th. An excellent relief pitching ERA. In fact, the Padres and the Giants are first. The Giants are first. The Padres are third in relief pitching ERA, which is a big reason why both of those teams have the records they have and have had the start that they've had this season. The Padres relief pitching ERA is 3.14, again, good for third in Major League Baseball. Their outs above average is at -4, which is tied for 18th. So
it's crazy that -4 has you tied for 18th, but as we saw with the Mariners last week, -100 puts you at 25th.
It's kind of wild, right? Big
it's
jump
such
there.
A big discrepancy.
Big discrepancy there. Yeah. Also, mistakes can be made at times. But anyway, Jesse, this Padres team, again, dangerous, but did get put in their place a little bit by the Dodgers. And again, we've talked about this. What do you want to happen right now? It feels like we chalk up the division as a foregone conclusion to the Dodgers winning it, right? So as much as I personally at times just want all the teams in the National League West to beat up on each other and just keep these records as close to the Diamondbacks record as possible, you kind of just maybe want the Dodgers to thump the Padres of the Giants here and keep those guys, as close so that the Diamondbacks can have a better shot of catching them in the wild card race than worrying about the division.
Yeah, as weird as it might be for Diamondbacks fans, I think that is very much in their best interest. You want the Dodgers to just I guess it doesn't have to be the Dodgers. Like, it
Just
would
anybody
also
to beat
work.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, you want some team to really separate themselves and beat up on the other teams.
Right.
That way, for the Diamondbacks, there's a little bit less separation in the wild card race.
Correct.
What's happening right now, where the Dodgers, Giants, and Padres have kind of just hung around the same area, that's not doing the Diamondbacks any favors. They very much would benefit from one team really taking the lead there, and then the other two teams falling off a little bit. And again, that could happen. That could kind of start this weekend with the Dodgers facing the Giants. If the Dodgers are able to have a big series there, I know the Giants have won 7 games in a row or something crazy like that. They're certainly playing good baseball. But if the Dodgers are able to take care of business against the Giants this weekend, and the Diamondbacks are able to do the same with San Diego, that could really start kind of a favorable movement for them, even though, yes, it feels weird to root for the Dodgers in any shape or form if you're a Diamondbacks fan, but that's what the math says, Derek, and we are beholden to whatever the math gods tell us when it comes to
you are. I don't listen to the math gods, Jesse. You know that. Patrick Wayne Collect says, have Jesse on when we have off days. Can't lose. Smart. You're right about that, Patrick. That's why we planned it this way. The basketball and football guy says, Derek telling us to root for the Dodgers. Coincidence? I think not.
It isn't. He's been trying to convince me of this like every day since I joined on this beat. He's been telling me, like, well, we kind of need the Dodgers to run away with this thing.
Here's Jay Cuddy said Derek can never escape the allegations. It's true. It's damn true. Well, let's take a look at the probable pitchers from this series with the Padres, because again, starting pitching is the biggest question mark right now for the Diamondbacks. I feel like the only reason why I say that is because you got this weird situation with Erod now actually being pretty damn good since he returned from the IL, and now the kind of question, he's fixed, he's back. Meanwhile, Ryan Nelson, Jesse, like, there's obviously after his last outing, there's questions. There's always been questions about Ryan Nelson, though, because he relies so heavily on his fastball and his fastball command that if for any reason it's not there, or he doesn't have a good feel for his four-seam fastball, that we're not going to see him have a good outing. And that's what we saw in his last outing. He goes in game 1 here against Steven Kolick, who has been pretty good for the Padres this season. Meanwhile, in game 2, we have Zach Gallen going up against Ryan Berger, or is it Berger? I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I should, because his ERA this season, right now at least, is incredible at 1.26. He has 8 strikeouts, so he only has the 1 start, but still pretty damn good so far. He's going up against Zach Gallen, who has a 5.15 ERA and is 4-8 this season. Meanwhile, in game 3, we have Merrill Kelly going up against Nick Pivetta. That's a pretty good matchup there. ERA-wise, record-wise, they're both 6-2. Pivetta has a 3.48 ERA. Merrill Kelly has a 3.18 ERA. Both guys with 79 strikeouts this season, Jesse. Kind of crazy how close those two starting pitchers are in that matchup. So game 3 should be a doozy. But yeah, Jay Cuddy says Zach needs to lock in, especially in that game 2. And then Ryan Nelson, of course, for me, I mean, I know that there's a lot of questions about Zach this season, but Ryan Nelson really is the kind of wild card for me in the starting rotation. He can be so good, and he can be good over an extended stretch. But again, like I said, if one pitch isn't there for him, it doesn't really feel like Ryan Nelson can like rebound and find a way to use his secondary stuff to get outs.
He is very, very, very one-dimensional, as you and I have discussed many times here over the past few years, and I think just not a proven commodity at this level. He's had some really good results here over the last 10, 11 months, going back to July of last year. He was definitely the Diamondbacks' most consistent starter in the second half last season, but I don't know if teams have fully adjusted to this version of Ryan Nelson, where it's the cutter is kind of his primary secondary pitch, and of course he has some other weapons on top of that. Still certainly fastball dominant, always has been. On the Padres side, Derek, I continue to be a little bit skeptical of them, frankly. You mentioned before that their offense actually has not been all that great this year. I think you said a 690 team OPS. Yeah. Granted, they're in a more pitcher friendly ballpark out in San Diego, but sure, this offense has really not been what some people maybe thought it would be. And I guess I'm maybe not all that surprised by that, because they really did lose a lot of depth in that lineup. And I think you're seeing the effects of that. And on the pitching side, like, this is a pretty different look than what we've seen lately. I mean, the Padres rotation right now, 3/5 of it, my understanding, is that it is Stephen Kolek, who the Dbacks get in this series, Ryan Berger, who they also get in this series, as you said, and then Randy Vasquez, who Diamondbacks fans probably still have nightmares about from what happened last September, but who historically has not been a very effective pitcher at the major league level. Kolek and Berger and Vasquez, you look at some of the underlying numbers with those guys, really none of them have compelling, under the radar sorts of stuff. You look at the strikeout numbers and the walk numbers and all that. I think there's a pretty decent amount of evidence that those guys will maybe regress. And that's 3/5 of their rotation right now, is these three guys that really are not proven at this level and seem to be overperforming quite a bit as far as we can tell. Right. So I don't know, but between the offense not quite being all that great and a pitching staff that is far from proven, it wouldn't shock me if the Padres kind of continued to come down to earth here as the season progresses.
Well, the Diamondbacks need that. And again, there's one thing that still sticks out in my mind, Jesse, and that's Jurickson Profar, and how good he was for the Padres, how good he was last season, and now that man is suspended for what he's suspended for.
We got Ryan Braun. But this time we didn't even make the playoffs.
But again, we talk about how close the Diamondbacks were to making the playoffs. We talk about some of those Padres games, and damn it, I'll say it, Profar was a monster against the Diamondbacks at times. You know what I mean? So again, there's just things that get a little frustrating in life when you find out a team like the Padres had a guy on it. Like, they dodged a bullet by, not bringing him back, obviously, but it's still the historical implications and how things went for this team last year that kind of, I don't get into it too much. I don't want to explore alternate realities. We can't jump in the time machine, and go back and make sure Profar gets, I don't know what, tested at an appropriate time last year. But the Diamondbacks went 6-7 against the Padres in 2024. And maybe one more of those games go the Diamondbacks' way, and they make the postseason. I hate it here, Jesse. I don't want to start splitting hairs like this, and we're not going to do that. But what we are going to do is we're definitely going to take a look back at Damon's frosty takes and how bad some of his freezing cold takes can be. We're going to do that on the other side of this break. So don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. We've been having a lot of fun around here with VMe, especially just saying VMe to each other. VMe, VMe. That's how we place bets in this office now, because you can place a bet on anything with anyone at any time with the first of its kind person-to-person betting app. Wagers can be for money or for free, just for fun, just for bragging rights. You can bet on anything: sports, video games, fantasy matchups, golf games, poker nights. Sometimes we have a little putting green over here. We can bet on that. We can bet on how many times we can throw the football in the office without breaking something. Whatever we want. It's 1v1 group challenges. It doesn't matter. You can take care of all of your fantasy sports without needing to be the person that goes around and collects. Everybody can just pay to the VMe app. It's a centralized location, and the winner can get paid out easily. I'll tell you right now, I've won a bet or lost a bet around here, and it's not always easy to make sure that people pay up, whether it's a wager for money or just a wager for humiliation, which we like to do around here. But download the VMe app today and play today using code PHNX. It's available on the App Store and Google Play. Remember to VMe, anyone, anything, anytime. And Circle K, of course, is America's thirst stop right now. It's super hot outside, and I hate it. Another thing I hate, the heat, very much so. Why do I live here? I don't know. Maybe because it's hot everywhere, and I can take the dry heat. I can't take humidity, but it doesn't matter what kind of heat I'm in. I need to go to Circle K, and I need to cool down, and it is the place to do so. If you are an Inner Circle member, you will get all sorts of discounts, including your first 5 Polar Pops for absolutely free. You'll get 79-cent Polar Pops every day. After that, you'll get 99-cent Frosters and more. You got 3 for $7 Ghosts. Of course, we are ghost people, and we love those ghosts. So make sure to go get your energy on, get your drink on over at Circle K. They have plenty of other member-exclusive deals, including member-exclusive flavors on the Ghost. You got the Strabango flavor that is a Circle K exclusive, as well as the summer-exclusive Summer Blaze flavor from Gatorade. So do not miss out. Join the Inner Circle for free right now by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions do apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. And I am thirsty. I am kind of hungry, and I do need myself a sweet treat. And I have one right here, Jesse Friedman, from our friends at Wendy's. They have this wonderful Frosty shop that you can get all sorts of special combinations. And of course, thanks to Wendy's, we like to discuss our Frosty takes around this joint now. We go back, we take a fun look at things that we have said in the past, like when I said on the very first show we did, returning from our hiatus, that the Diamondbacks were not only going to have one of the best rotations in baseball, but it was going to be 7 men deep. Ha! But just for fun, I think it's time that we go ahead and take a look at another Frosty take that someone around here, someone in this room had not too long ago. Damon, play that beautiful bean footage.
I miss Kevin Newman so damn bad. And Derek, this is why. This is the exact reason I said I wanted Jordan Lawlar on the opening day roster. This exact reason, because I know that there was enough at-bats to go around. I knew Ketel has some injury problems. And now I'm sitting here and I'm like, I want to see Jordan Lawlar play baseball. And you could say, he needs to get ramped up, and the Diamondbacks obviously don't feel that he's ready or whatever. But it's like, at what point do you just trust the top 10 prospect in baseball to help get you through a tough time when, your best player is hurt? Like, I am ready for Jordan Lawlar. It is time.
It might be time. It wasn't time. It wasn't time, Damon. It really wasn't time.
It'll never be time.
That's 2 Frosty takes, because you were talking there at the beginning about Kevin Newman, and that man has a 100 batting average, I believe, right now. So
Derek, I don't think it'll ever be time. I think Jordan Lawlar might be cooked.
It's interesting because, of course, there's big implications here when we're talking about the trade deadline, right? Like, obviously, Gino Suarez is a name that's been brought up by a lot of teams. I mean, it's kind of scary how many teams are interested in Gino, and it's the kind of teams that have the assets in order to make the Diamondbacks one of those, Godfather offers that you just can't refuse, right? So The idea here that is if the Diamondbacks do part ways with Geno Suarez, it feels like that is Jordan Lawlar fully being upgraded to third base and being this team's third baseman of the future. And I mean, it's not to say that that's a terrible thing, especially if this season ends up being a bit of a wash, to have him come up and try to get his legs underneath him. The man goes down to Reno, Jesse, and within 3 or 4 days, he hits a game-winning home run for the Aces. I just can't explain it other than what we've already discussed, which is that it seems like Jordan Lawlar can't hit the breaking ball. And if you can't really hit the breaking ball or know what to do with it, and you're going to swing at it all the time, you're just not going to be successful at a major league level ever.
I think there's a natural temptation, and it's totally understandable, to always look to top prospects in the minors and be like, well, yeah, like, let's see what that guy can do. And I think oftentimes it does work out the way that you would maybe expect it to, where they are able to really contribute to the big league team. When the Diamondbacks made this move, though, Derek, I'll be honest, I was a little confused by it. It just seemed, I don't want to say it reeked of desperation per se.
It did reek of desperation, Jesse. It
But
absolutely
it
reeked
kind
of
of did.
desperation. Yeah.
It kind of did. And it was weird specifically because for as much as the Diamondbacks have not done what people hoped they would do this year, the offense has not really been the problem for them. You know,
Bingo.
that has not really
Bingo.
been what's held them back.
Right.
And last I checked, Jordan Lawlar doesn't pitch. And so, like, he wasn't really going to ever be able to help them where they really needed it most. And anytime you're bringing a top prospect into a situation where they're having to juggle multiple positions and not get very much consistent playing time, and really because of how good this offense has been, what we kept saying over on our show, Snakes Territory, is that, like, in order for Jordan Lawlar to ever play, you have to sit someone who has had a very good season.
Yes,
and at a
right.
certain point, that just didn't really make
Right.
any sense for them, and it wound up lasting 2 weeks.
It's Geno, it's Perdomo, it's Ketel. And like, yeah, I understand there's going to be times where you need to get those guys off their feet. Maybe you want them to DH. Maybe you just want them to straight up have a day off, right? But like you said, it's not really the offense that's been the problem. And I said it here. I kind of posed it to you know, the chat, but I wanted to get your thoughts. Did they ask too much of Jordan Lawlar? Like, Jordan Lawlar has not been playing second base very long. And I understand that he was doing well at second base for the Reno Aces, but it was in a very short stint, a very small sample size. And Jordan Lawlar is a very gifted athlete, so it's no surprise to me that he's able to play second base kind of well. But he hasn't been playing it very long, and the Diamondbacks asked him to come up here at a major league level and play all the infield positions. And I personally just felt like that was a bit much to ask of a young man that's trying to juggle a lot of things and also try to get his bat right at the dish.
I feel like on one hand, like, I mean, maybe they didn't ask too much just because in a sense they didn't need all that much from him. Like, he frankly was replacing Garrett Hampson, right? Who was
Sure.
not hitting particularly well. So it's not like the bar for Jordan Lawlar to be a valuable member of the team was super high. I mean, they just replaced him with Ildemaro Vargas, right? Which,
Right.
no disrespect to Ildemaro Vargas, but you know, he's not like a star caliber player. I don't think Lawlar needed to have an 800 OPS in order to stay in the majors. But
Sure.
yeah,
No,
I
that's true.
also think that maybe it was just kind of unfair to Lawlar to put him in this position where he was going to have to play all over the diamond. And yeah, it's just tough to find a rhythm in the big
Right.
leagues. I mean, it's tough to find a rhythm in the big leagues in general. All the more when you're only playing a couple times a week.
Well, and it felt like the straw that broke the camel's back here was the fact that it was that game where he committed those errors at second base. Like, obviously, if you're not performing well, you have a 100 OPS. You have to be able to provide some sort of value, and it would need to be defensively in the field. It felt like the minute they saw him make those mistakes out there at second, that was enough, and they couldn't have this guy, basically costing them baseball games, right? So from that perspective, I just felt like moving him all around the diamond, like you said, it didn't allow him to get in a comfortable rhythm. It didn't allow him to necessarily have success because it's easier said than done to have a player that's a utility infielder like that, right? And again, Jordan Lawlar not a guy that's played a ton of second base. So he was mostly a left side of the infield. And when he did play over there, he was fine defensively. In fact, he made a couple of incredible defensive plays. So I still think that there's a lot of value in Jordan Lawlar. However, we are going to discuss another prospect later on in the show when we take a visit down to Snake Farm. And that guy's name is Druw Jones. And I don't know if I'm so certain on him any longer. But shout out to Wendy's. Of course, Wendy's is now putting a twist on classic with all new Frosty flavors. Find your new favorite flavor and clock in for a sweet treat anytime, including midnight or later. A refresh on a classic, gotta be Wendy's. At participating U.S. Wendy's locations, hours may vary by location. And we are going to discuss, Jesse, on the other side of this break, of course, Throwback Thursday. It is Throwback Thursday. I mean, it's Throwback Thursday because you, me, and Damon are back together. But we're also going to talk about some fun stuff that happened on this date and on this week in Diamondbacks history. Don't you guys go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondbacks show. Of course, I love Desert Financial Credit Union, and if you are an Arizona sports fan, there's no better place to bank because you can get those wonderful debit cards that show your team's spirit. They have cards that feature the Arizona Cardinals, Arizona State University, and Northern Arizona University. And for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union. They got me started on my home ownership journey, and it was a pleasure to work with the people over at Desert Financial. They were very knowledgeable, and of course, they made sure that I understood everything before I proceeded with my first mortgage and my first home purchase. So thank you to Desert Financial, because I would be lost without them. I know how expensive rent is, and of course that terrifies me. But what I will say is, if you are looking to achieve your financial goals, look to Desert Financial for checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. Join a credit union that is committed to giving back to the community and sharing success with their members. When you open a free checking account online right now, you can get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200 today.
I gotta say, it doesn't make me feel good when you throw it in my face that you own a house and that rent is really expensive during every Desert Financial read.
I understand that. I would feel the same way, but it's not going to stop me from doing it, because it's I'm a homeowner, and don't you know, I get to be snooty about it. That's the way that works. But one thing, of course, that we could all use help with is a little help with employment status. Of course, if you are a small business owner, it can be hard for you to go out and find qualified candidates. So look to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn can help you find the qualified candidates to fill the roles that you are looking for your business. When you are hiring, you need a partner that grinds as hard as you do, and that hiring partner is LinkedIn Jobs. You can post your job with LinkedIn's new feature that can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. And of course, based on LinkedIn data, 72% of small business owners using LinkedIn say that LinkedIn helps them find high quality candidates. That's what it's about, not wasting your time with people that don't match your needs. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today. Find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Dbacks. That's linkedin.com/Dbacks to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Well, it is Throwback Thursday around here, Jesse. And the other day, not too long ago, we did a look back at Byung-Hyun Kim and his time with the Arizona Diamondbacks. It's weird because in my mind, Kim's career is one of those careers that you look at his numbers and you're like, damn, he was one of the best relievers we have ever had. However, if you live through that time, you just think of that man as being the person that almost cost the Diamondbacks the 2001 World Series. That's all you remember him as. And of course, on this day, Jesse, on June 12th, 2002, while pitching at Yankee Stadium for the first time since blowing those two saves in the World Series, Byung-Hyun Kim finished up a 9-5 Diamondbacks victory. And after he won, he fired the game ball over the left field wall in a way that felt like it was exercising all the demons from that World Series and those two blown saves. The clip of that reminds me of how much this stuff sticks with guys. It wasn't that long after, right? This is less than a year after he had given up those blown saves at Yankee Stadium. But I imagine that man thought about those saves every single night for every single day between when it happened and this game.
I mean, if I were him, Derek, I think I'd be resting easy knowing that, hey, we still won the whole dang thing, right?
We got it anyway. I screwed up, but we got it.
I mean, in some ways, Byung-Hyun Kim just sort of helped fuel what wound up being one of the greatest World Series of all time. Like, if he didn't make it as interesting as it was, then the Diamondbacks wouldn't have been involved in one of the greatest World Series ever. So, all is well that ends well from that perspective.
You're absolutely
That
right.
2002 season for Byung-Hyun Kim, though, truly one of the best seasons, maybe the best season ever for a Diamondbacks reliever. I mean, a 2.04 ERA and 84 innings. It's easy to forget how good a 2.04 ERA was during that era of baseball. That's a 2.23 ERA plus over at Baseball Reference. Baseball Reference gives Byung-Hyun Kim 4 WAR for that season, which is hard for me to even comprehend how a relief pitcher can be worth 4 wins above replacement. So yeah, I mean, he had an awesome season. Unfortunately, that 2002 year did not end the same way as the one prior.
Nope, but like we said, there hasn't been a lot of times when the Diamondbacks had an elite reliever. He was one of them. Absolutely, he was one of them for this team. Few things that we missed last week. We had kind of a short Throwback Thursday because we did do a post-game show on Thursday, but Randy Johnson did record his 4,673rd strikeout of Brewers' Mike Cameron to move past Roger Clemens into second on the all-time list for strikeouts. This was on June 3rd, 2005. No surprise there. It feels like we cover Randy Johnson accomplishments on Throwback Thursday all the time, but that's because, again, you look at modern-day numbers, you look at modern-day pitchers, just like what you said with Kim, and Randy Johnson's numbers as a 40-year-old man with the Diamondbacks are just absurd. They're just ridiculous to look back on, and like we knew in the time we were seeing something special, like that's definitely something that sticks with me. A lot of times you ask people like, hey, what was it like living during that time? It was like we knew we had one of the greatest pitchers of all time every single time he went out there, and we would scream at the heavens when he would lose a game 2-1 because he got no run support. So that would happen quite a bit with this team. But Randy Johnson, again, just an incredible player, and the Diamondbacks franchise. I mean, I can't even imagine the alternate timeline that is the franchise that did not get Randy Johnson as a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, what do you say about the guy, right? I remain forever jealous, Derek, that I do not have the memories that you do. I was a wee lad when Randy Johnson. I remember him right at the very end of his Diamondback stint, but for as good as Randy was later in his career, 2008 Randy Johnson was not quite the same guy as 2001 or 2002. But hey, I mean, in 2008, Randy did still have a 3.91 in 30 starts.
And that was a broken down old Randy Johnson too.
That was his age 44 season. The Diamondbacks this version of the Diamondbacks could very much use age 44 Randy Johnson. He would have been he'd be right up there with Merrill Kelly as probably the second best pitcher on this team. So the way that man aged is just unbelievable.
Some other quick fun Throwback Thursday facts. On June 4th, 2010, the spring training facility was officially named Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. So that's when that beautiful facility out there became known as Salt River Fields, and we have spent a lot of time out there. There are still people, Jesse, that desperately want the Diamondbacks to move out there, and I kind of understand it. There are some other teams that kind of have their facility all in one area, and it's kind of cool to have that. However, unfortunately, due to the restrictions on that land, I don't think that's ever going to happen because the Diamondbacks really can't generate the tax revenue and such that they're trying to now capture over at Chase Field in order to pay for those renovations and such. But still, Salt River Field's one of the best facilities here in Arizona, right up there with Sloan Park as probably 1A, 1B.
Oh, it's number 1 and number 2, Derek. Don't you put Salt River Fields and Sloan Park with the same number. I think we all know where they stand. Salt River Fields is definitely the best in my mind.
There you go. Well, one more. On June 10th, 2019, the Diamondbacks hit 3 straight home runs to begin the game at the Philadelphia Phillies, the second road team to accomplish that feat in baseball history. So great accomplishment there hitting 3 straight home runs to begin the game at Phillies. And
do we know who is pitching for the Phillies that day?
That's a good question. I don't have that information in front of me.
It was Jared Eichhoff. It looks like he
No
allowed
surprise there.
5. He allowed 5 home runs that day in 3 innings of work. That's a tough day at the office.
Yeah, that's a tough day at the office. Well, of course, Diamondbacks have some history to make if they expect to make the postseason. So we're going to talk. We're going to continue keeping up on that. We're going to continue having positive thoughts, at least being cautiously optimistic about this year's team's chances. But on the other side of this break, we're going to take a trip down to the snake farm. We got a new beautiful graphic to show off, and I saw some of you talking about it, but we are absolutely going to take a look in at our 3 first-round draft picks currently hanging out in the Hillsboro Hops. So don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. You know that moment. That moment when you go to look for your sunglasses and you realize you left them on the counter in the store. You left them on the top of your car before you drove away.
You left them in the airport in Hawaii 5 minutes into landing on your trip.
There's a personalized story for you. Well, it doesn't matter if you break them, if you lose them, if you run them over with your car. Shady Rays is a wonderful sunglass company, and they have your back no matter what happens to your sunglasses. They have the craziest lost and broken replacement plan in all of eyewear, where even if you lose them on day 1, they will get you back with their warranty replacement. Of course, they have durable frames, so you don't have to worry about them breaking. You just got to worry about you being forgetful and losing them. So make sure to check out Shady Rays. Of course, hundreds of styles to choose from. Great crystal clear optics with polarized lenses. They have those color rush lenses that are even more incredible. And of course, if you don't love your Shady Rays, you can return them worry-free within 30 days. You can exchange them for a new pair or get your money back. Of course, Shady Rays, once again, has your back long after you purchase. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head on over to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 35% off your order of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. And speaking of shade, you need more shade in your life. You need Shady Rays, and you also need some more shade in your outdoor living space. So look to All Pro Shade Concepts to help extend that outdoor living space, because the summer is here, it's hot, and we're all going to do the same thing. We're all going to hide inside in the air conditioning and not go outside at all. Don't let the sun win. Extend your outdoor living space. Make sure you enjoy this wonderful summer with a cooler patio. You can also have roll down patio shades that can keep your patio up to 20 degrees cooler and block out 95% of those harmful UV rays. Of course, All Pro Shades Company is a business. They've been in business for 20 years here in the Valley. They started making window shades by hand for friends and family in Phoenix. Now they are one of the largest installers of patio roll down shades and motorized awnings in the Valley. They are licensed, bonded, and insured. So give them a call at 623-204-1476 or visit allproshadeconcepts.com now to schedule your free in-home estimate. All right, Damon, let's get Jesse back in here. Jesse, we always loved taking a look down at the farm system, and I am thrilled because now we have our brand new snake farm graphic. Let's take a look at some of our guys from down at the snake farm. Look at this thing. This is electric, literally electric. The Diamondbacks, again, we have some outfielders there playing for the Hillsboro Hops. They sent out a tweet talking about their first round picks all being there at high A. You got Druw Jones, Ryan Waldschmidt, and Slade Caldwell, who was just recently added to the fray. Caldwell, he was 2 for 5 with a stolen base in his debut for the Hops, but here we have his numbers from Single A Visalia. And again, Druw Jones this season hitting 238, 312, 283 for a 595 OPS.
Brutal.
Ryan Waldschmidt, he is hitting 277, 434, 477 slug for a 911 OPS. He also has 9 home runs and 39 RBI this season. And Slade Caldwell there for Visalia /290, 460, 454. Again, a 914 OPS there for Slade. And then he has 3 home runs and 20 RBI. So again, this is one of those situations, Jesse, where 2 of these guys, the 2 younger guys that were first round draft picks from 2024, are both finding success. Meanwhile, Druw Jones, drafted second overall in the first round in the 2022 draft, as most of you remember, and he is struggling there with Hillsboro. I know it's still development, right? I know it's still minor leagues. I know everybody kind of develops at their own pace, but is it time to start worrying about Druw Jones? Is the bust talk going to start popping up now?
Yeah, I mean, Druw Jones, I don't think has ever had a season that people would be fully satisfied with. He's never really burst on the scene and had the full-on breakout year that I think people hoped he would. And this year, frankly, has been worse than the other ones. And I know we're still relatively early here, but we're not that early. I mean, he doesn't have a home run yet this year, Derek.
Right.
He has 0 home runs. He's slugging .282. Looking at some of the batted ball numbers, it looks like he's hitting a ton of infield pop-ups, and his ground ball rate is still really high. And when you're striking out a decent amount, as he is, and you're hitting a lot of pop-ups and a lot of ground balls, it makes sense why you're not really driving extra base hits to the gaps or over the fence all that much. So I've been skeptical for a while, Derek, and I'm not gonna say bust at this point. I think when you have a prospect that I still think has the ceiling that Druw Jones does, and he's still 21 years old. It's not like he's 26. I still think that there's a non-zero chance that he figures things out and still can become a valuable player in the big league someday. But yeah, this season has been pretty discouraging on that front.
You're right. As far as the bus talk, Druw Jones is still 21 years old, so he's still the man just turned old enough to drink. So let's relax on how much time he has left. But I think the problem here is that where he was drafted, the excitement around him being drafted, right? A lot of draft picks don't have this excitement. Ryan Waldschmidt, Slade Caldwell, neither of those guys had the excitement around them that Druw Jones did. Obviously, was the second overall pick. When you have a top 5 pick in any sport, there's going to be excitement. There's going to be expectations. There's going to be people thinking that this guy is going to be the savior of the franchise and he's going to be a huge superstar. So when those players do turn into serviceable, but what you might consider a mid, average MLB player, then that alone is enough to seem like a disappointment. But when you see someone like Druw Jones struggling at the level that he's struggling at, it definitely is cause for concern and cause to feel like maybe he is not what we thought he could be. But baseball's funny like that, because if you're an athlete and you are able to do all of the other things in baseball, and you never know when your bat can come around and all of a sudden things can click. It's also like a pitcher, right? A pitcher can do something as small as what Brandon Pfaadt described, Brent Strom had him do, and move to the other side of the rubber, or, change one little thing. And now suddenly that change had a big enough impact on your game that now you're able to find success. And I think that, Ernesto talked about it in the chat. He said that Druw Jones has a good eye, but he can't put the barrel on the ball. That's definitely seems to be the case with a lot of the pop-ups and a lot of the ground outs. He has only played a total of 206 games, right? And that includes single A, high A, and the Arizona Complex League. In the grand scheme of things, 206 games it's a full Major League Baseball season plus, but it's still not a lot to determine that a player is not going to be a good baseball player, that they are a bust as a draft pick. And of course, the guy that he was drafted behind has had a lot of talk about being a bust simply because the Orioles called him up, and he also didn't have success at a major league level as well. Unfortunately, he is having fine success. He's more like of a Jordan Lawlar, who's having great success at a minor league level, but when called up didn't have that same success at a major league level. It's different for Jones. Jones seems to be struggling even at a minor league level. And like you said, Jesse, I know that I was probably more bullish on Jones than you were, but it's also like I'm starting to really have those, that bust word pop up in my head when I see, his stats. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think we're all rooting for Druw Jones, and if you're a Diamondbacks fan, you want him to be everything we expected him to be and more. It's just there has to come a time where you're realistic about it and you start thinking, Jones might not ever be the guy that we thought he was going to be.
Something we do see every now and then with well-regarded prospects is that teams will remove them from the minor league affiliate and bring them out to Salt River Fields and just try to work on their swing or try to, whatever it might be. And I wonder if the Diamondbacks
didn't they do that
would
right now with
consider
Gilbert
that.
Diaz? They brought Gilbert Diaz up from Reno to
Yes.
play at the Arizona Complex League just so that they could specifically work on developing. I think it was his command. He was having some command issues. But yeah, like just to have that little extra personalized coaching that you're not necessarily going to get during the season for any minor league team or the major league club.
Yeah, I think at times the grind of playing a game basically every day, like it limits the kinds of changes that you can make, right? You're kind of just on the daily, like trying to get your work in, trying
Yes.
to just survive the slog of a full season, even down in the minors where the schedule is a little bit lighter. I wonder if maybe that's something Druw Jones could benefit from. I haven't watched a whole lot of Druw Jones footage this year, but the overarching narrative with him is that he just is kind of unable to pull the ball in the air, which is very important. You don't want to become too pull heavy, but when you're never able to pull a baseball in the air, that's awfully prohibitive. And it comes from his just kind of natural tendency to bail out of the batter's box, specifically on pitches that are in that are on the inner half of the plate.
Sure.
So I wonder if maybe there's a path here for the Diamondbacks to just say, hey, let's just, give him some room to breathe, make it so he doesn't have to deal with the rigors of the everyday schedule. And let's just try to figure these issues out away from the minor league affiliate. But that's pure speculation on my part. We'll see if that's something they explore.
Well, Jesse, we talked about getting the band back together, and I need this guy to get in the background of my shot in somehow, some way, because not only is Jesse here, not only is Damon here, but look at this guy. This guy's here
Oh
too.
my gosh.
So we got everybody back together today.
Jesse, I'm really digging the 70s porn stash.
Yep, we all are.
Yeah,
Jesse.
that's what I'm going for, Saul. I'm glad you picked that up.
I'm glad you're enjoying your new career. Love you, buddy.
Hey, man.
Love you too.
Jesse, again, we're going to have to figure out a way to make sure that you don't impact this team anymore with whatever the hell is going on this season, but I am thrilled to have you here. Thanks for jumping on with me. Make sure to check out Snakes Territory with Jesse and one Jack Summers, who I absolutely, one of my favorite people in the entire world, Jack Summers, and so glad I get to sit next to him while he calls every opposing home run player or every player who's going to hit a home run. It's my favorite part of the game is when Jack starts dooming and glooming. But again, makes me feel better when things don't go badly. So, hey, I need Jack to keep doing that. But of course, make sure to follow Jesse on Twitter at Jesse and Friedman. Their show is at Snakes Territory. You can find it on YouTube, wherever you download your podcast. Jesse, again, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you, sir. We will see you again next week. Of course, you can follow Damon and I on Twitter. I'm at cap_caveman with a K. Damon is at Damon Dog. That is DAWG at the end. And we are all Damon's dogs. Bark, bark.
Bark, bark.
There it is. All right. Well, of course, our show is at PHNX_Dbacks. But as always, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Damon, we got anything else before we get out of here? Do we get any super chats?
No super chats. Sean wants to know what Jesse's thoughts are on me and you doing a post-game show for every single Diamondbacks game so we can stay undefeated.
Jesse, I didn't have the ability to tell you this. I didn't have the heart to tell you this, but Damon's got some magical powers where every time we do a post-game show, the Diamondbacks win. It's the opposite of what's going on with you, which I do really want to get like a situation where you're both on one together just to see whose powers are more powerful. But yeah, now they will just want us to do post-game shows every single day for every single game for the rest of the season, and I don't think I have it in me.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Damon's good luck can overcome my bad luck. I don't know. It sounds like a fun social experiment. We'll have to try it.
We'll figure it out. Well, I mean, it'll be at the detriment to the Diamondbacks, but still, nonetheless, I love social experiments and to see which one comes out on top. But again, Bud, thank you again for your time. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We always appreciate you guys joining us in the live chat. Again, make sure if you haven't bought those tickets yet, get those tickets for our takeover. That is on July 3rd. We're going to be having a pool party out there at Chase Field. So join us for that. Of course, we love you guys. We appreciate your time. Again, make sure to follow us on Twitter and all that stuff. BC just stopped by to say go Dodgers. And honestly, this is one of the times I'm not necessarily disagreeing with him. But anyway, we thank you guys.
Derek's fired up right now.
Thank you guys again for your time, of course. Behave yourselves. Have yourselves a wonderful day off. I know it's boring. Find something fun to do with yourselves, and then come back here tomorrow. We'll have another post-game show tomorrow night. In the meantime, like I said, have a wonderful day off. Enjoy yourselves. Behave yourselves. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is so much more fun when you get the entire band back together to talk about it.
We all silly like the mayor.